Hello and welcome to the Shen Yun podcast. You're listening to episode number 1 of Beyond the Notes, the series where we explore the music of Shen Yun Performing Arts, the world's premier classical Chinese dance and music company. I'm your host, Li Shai Lemish. Today we look at Dunhuang, a piece from Shen Yun Symphony Orchestra's 2017 concert season. It tells the story of a Buddhist sculptor who works in the remote caves of Dunhuang. Exhausted, he falls asleep, and the thousands of Buddha statues and murals around him come to life. Now, before we get into the piece itself, let's explore some background. Dunhuang is an oasis town far out in northwest China, at the edge of the Gobi Desert. It became part of the Chinese Empire during the Han Dynasty, some 2,000 years ago, and grew into one of China's most important frontier towns along the Silk Road. Dunhuang would also become one of Buddhism's main gateways into China. Today, Dunhuang is most famous for the massive murals and ancient artwork of the Mogao Caves. For centuries, they were a pilgrimage site for worship and meditation. They were most popular around the 7th century at the height of the Tang Dynasty. Each cave features a huge Buddha statue as a centerpiece, surrounded by smaller statues of feminine bodhisattvas and heavenly warriors. Brightly colored murals present heavenly scenes filled with flying celestial maidens, known as Feitian, as well as divine kings and thousands of seated Buddhas. The scenes depict the solemn mercy of Buddha, or the terrors of hell. There are more than 700 caves in Mogao, with more cave systems in the surrounding areas. Wall paintings cover nearly 500,000 square feet. More than 2,000 sculptures have been discovered. They vary from the smallest 4-inch carvings to the great Buddha statue of Cave 96. That famous statue stands 108 feet tall. That's equivalent to a 10-story building. So, where did all this art come from? The most popular origin story features a Buddhist monk named Lezun. Around the year 366, Lezun was crossing the Gobi Desert when he stopped to rest at an oasis near Dunhuang. As dusk fell, the sky was suddenly filled with giant glowing Buddhas and heavenly fairies, accompanied by radiant light and divine music. The monk was so moved by the scene that he decided to stay and immortalize his vision. He entered one of the nearby caves and filled it with art. Lezun was far from the only one blessed with visions, as more and more spiritual seekers and artists came to the remote sanctuary. Having also felt the touch of the divine, they would fill the caves with murals, paintings, statues, carvings, pottery, and literature for the next 1,000 years. Shen Yun Symphony Orchestra's Dunhuang is composed by D.F. and arranged by Jingxian. It was originally written for a story performed in Shen Yun's 2018 dance production, a piece called Awakening. It follows an artist as he toils away in a remote cave. His faith and dedication to his art move the heavens and bring about a magical scene. Dunhuang adapts the music of Awakening for a symphony orchestra in a concert hall setting. The majestic introduction sets our story in the Tang Dynasty, often considered China's cultural golden age. This was a time of religious pluralism, and Buddhism in particular had a tremendous influence on Chinese society and art. After the grand opening, we arrive in a cold, dark cave, accompanied by drips of water and a lone, shivering voice of faith. Our sculptor is surrounded by towering murals as he finishes a life-size statue of a celestial maiden. The low flute melody evokes rituals in Buddhist temples, where woodblocks accompany monks as they chant scripture. The sculptor's theme is played first by the French horn. Solemn and steady, it gives weight to the sculptor's pious but weary heart. We also hear the Chinese erhu, a two-stringed instrument with thousands of years of history. Soon our tired sculptor falls asleep as the music fades. And something changes. With the plucking of the harp and pipa, the statue of the heavenly maiden awakens. The living statue gracefully descends from her podium, and her solo dance begins. This melody is played by the Chinese pipa, a plucked lute with 4 strings. It's no coincidence that the pipa plays the Heavenly Maiden's dance. Of all the musical instruments portrayed in the murals of Dunhuang, the pipa is probably the most popular, often depicted in the gentle hands of a celestial maiden. In this next duet, the pipa and erhu contrast with the rest of the orchestra to explore and build on the sounds of ancient China. Woodwinds respond to the Chinese instruments. The conversation between East and West reflects the cultural exchange of the Silk Road. More and more voices of the orchestra chime in until at once the murals and statues awaken. The sweeping melody in the strings follows more Phaetian as they fly down from the ceiling to dance among the deities for the elated sculptor. The Mogao Caves are also called the 1,000 Buddha Caves. Rows and rows of carved Buddhas are seated in the lotus position, their hands gesturing like a language, their presence populating the caves with life, giving voice to the belief that even in our suffering, we are not alone. With the final statement of the theme, the sculptor comes to understand that his abilities are also gifts from the divine. The ancients believed that deities would reveal themselves to the faithful. In turn, the faithful have a sacred duty to share what they witness, that there is more to life than meets the eye. Thank you for listening. I'm Li Shai. We'll see you in the next episode of Beyond the Notes. To learn more about Shen Yun Symphony Orchestra, please visit our website. The Shen Yun Symphony Orchestra CD is available on iTunes and the Shen Yun Shop. Shen Yun Symphony Orchestra's international concert tour includes Carnegie Hall in New York, Boston Symphony Hall, as well as Chicago, Washington, Toronto, and cities in Asia every year. To learn more, visit shenyun.com.